All right, everybody. Hello. What's up? What is going on? Welcome to episode 8. Am I right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Episode 8 of the Fatman Gaming Podcast. I am your host, as usual, the Fatman from the Fatman Gaming, sitting in front of my beautiful gaming collection. And to my side here, you have my co host, Philip Zeokis Guerra, my green haired buddy over here. Got the Joker deal going. Philip, say what's up to the people.
What's up, guys?
So first of all, I just want to thank everybody. The streams have been going incredibly well, so I want to thank all those who did show up. Big shout out to Mark too. I really appreciate you coming in and spreading it around. It means a lot to me, buddy. So thank you. Also, Mark, if you do happen to see this, you were the winner of the PS2. I need to get your information. I'm going to be sending that video, putting that video live on YouTube. So be on the lookout for that. I'm going to need your address, and I know you're all the way in Australia, so that's going to be interesting. Um, so we're going to be starting off in kind of a somber part. We're going to first of all give our heartfelt condolences to Terry Funk. He passed away this last week, and if you don't know who Terry Funk is, Terry Funk was one of the best hardcore wrestlers in the business. I mean, this man put himself through hell and back, and just so entertaining. So that from the deepest sincerity of both of our hearts, we want to say, rest in peace, Terry Funk. And then unfortunately, there's more bad news. We want to give another shout out and another heartfelt condolences to his family. WWE's Bray Wyatt passed away. He was battling an undisclosed illness, and unfortunately, he lost his battle. And we just want to say rest in peace and give our condolences to him and his family. His real name was what was it, Zio?
Wyndham Rotunda.
Yeah. So our condolences to the Rotunda family, and we wish you all well. And then on the third and final bad news, we want to say thank you, and it's a really somber goodbye to Charles Martinet. And if you guys don't know who that is, he's been the voice of Mario for over 32 years. Just I remember Mario 64 hearing the voice for the first time, and it's just when you watch all the videos that Charles is in, and even seen him in the Super Mario movie voicing Mario and Luigi's dad Giuseppe, and then the random guy in the pizzeria. Um, Whenever you see Charles Martinet in video and all that, he's just such a It seems like he's just such an awesome dude. He always brings joy whenever you're watching the videos, and he brought joy to millions of people. 32 years now as Mario. So you want to say, thank you, Charles. I doubt you'll ever see this, but if you do, thank you from the deepest parts of our heart. You really meant a lot to my childhood, and I'm pretty sure Z's too. So thank you, Charles, and good luck on whatever you do next. Yeah, you will be missed. And that's it for the somber news. So we're gonna get right into it. This episode is going to be our top 5 games that deserve a sequel that either didn't get one or didn't get justice done the first time around. But before we get into that, we are going to. We're on the quest now for 1,000 subscribers. We're at 64 ish last time I checked. Might be one or two more. But we're on the quest for 1,000 now, and the 1,000. Once we get to 1,000, this is going to be the biggest giveaway we've ever done. So I'm announcing it right here, right now. I had talked with Z earlier, and we kind of agreed for the most part, what we were going to do, but I've changed it up. So when we get to 1,000, I'm going to write down every subscriber that goes from now to we get to 1,000. It's going to be a pain in the butt, but I'm going to get it done. And then once we hit 1,000, we're going to do a random giveaway of a current console of your choice. It could be the Steam Deck. It could be, well, actually, let's relax there. It's going to be one of the three. It can be the Nintendo Switch, a Steam Deck, or a PS5, or shoot, I guess an Xbox too. So it'll be one of the current consoles. Once we get to 1,000, some lucky winner or watcher of our channel is going to get that. So I'm gonna make an announcement video for that separate, but there it is. So yeah, there's that. So let's see, what would I also want to talk about? Oh yeah, Project Q finally got a name. It was announced over Gamescom over the weekend. It is now called the PlayStation Portal, and it came out with an announced price of later this year, release date of later this year, with a price of $199. Now, on the previous episode of the podcast, I said at $199 I'd be in. I'm still in. I'm just kind of disappointed at what this thing does and doesn't do. Did you happen to have a chance to look over it, Z?
Yeah, I did, and I have to say, it's pretty much just like what the Wii U was. It's just a little remote that you can use around your house if you already have the console.
Yeah, and that's the disappointing part. Like, obviously, everybody knew there wasn't going to be any way that it was just going to do PS5 games by itself. But we were kind of hoping that it would give you the option of at least having access to, like, PlayStation Plus for, backward. That's what it should have been. It should have been a PlayStation Plus handheld portable, but they didn't want to do that. So basically, you got a remote play machine that only works over Wi-Fi, so that's kind of disappointing. But yeah, there's the name PlayStation Portal. It's $199. Probably I'd say November-ish is my guess. It'd be kind of nuts if it comes out any sooner. But yeah, so that was kind of disappointing. But I know at $199 I said I'd be in, and for the channel I am going to get one, and we're gonna review it here. So. And then FYI, guys, we're going to do a lot more. I want to do a lot more reviews. It's going to be harder, but we'll get it done. Um, so, yeah, that's pretty much it. Gamescom was kind of hit or miss. If you guys want to know more about Gamescom, you can go over to YouTube or check out IGN or something because it's all there. But I do want to talk about one funny thing that happened at Gamescom. Some random dude just jumped up on stage at opening night live while Jeff Keighley was on there and was shouting, Bill Clinton wants to play GTA 6 over and over again. Now, it sucks because Jeff could have got hurt, and so glad that he wasn't. The guy just seemed to be a weirdo, just wanting to make a name for himself, like that other little shithead at the Game Awards last year. So there was that. But I thought that was kind of funny and kind of scary for Jeff at the same time. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that was nuts. People need to get a life because Jets not doing. I'd like to see him do it at a football game because those guys they'll get him good. Anyway, so let's move on. As usual, I will let Z get into it first. Z will get to pick his game first, and then I'll go, and then we'll do the rotation afterwards. I kind of want to make this episode short and sweet, but give it that little that we like to give it. So all right, so we're gonna jump right into it. So Z, first game. We both said 5. So we'll go 5-1 as usual. So what is your number 5, and what do you want to see either get a remake or a sequel?
Well, this is a game I would want to get a direct sequel, and I think the fan base of this franchise would actually agree with me, and it is Fallout New Vegas.
Oh yeah, yeah.
People have been wanting it forever now. They've been wanting another New Vegas to come out, and I think they'd even be okay with a remake, but I think fans mainly want to see a direct sequel.
Yeah, no, that'd be pretty cool. Now, did you know that Fallout New Vegas is the only Fallout that I've actually liked? It's the
I
only.
think it's what most people like in terms of the Fallout games.
Now, I'll admit, 76 is actually kind of good, but yeah, Fallout New Vegas definitely deserves a sequel. I would prefer the remake, but a sequel, yeah, would definitely do it well.
Yeah, definitely would like to see a sequel. I've recently got into the Fallout games. A couple of my friends when I was before I got the computer got me into Fallout 76 since it was a cross-platform game,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't that bad. I honestly didn't think I was gonna like the Fallout games, but it wasn't that bad in my opinion. It's a game that I would actually go back when I get the chance and play them in order.
Now, I'll give you some warning. 76 plays a lot different from your typical Fallout game. A Fallout game is really RPG heavy. It's really like you got the gunplay, but it's you. I'll have to show you one day to show you what I mean. Because I honest, like I said, I've never liked the Fallout. I even bought the Pit Boy edition for Fallout 4, and I just couldn't do it. But New Vegas was one that I played on Xbox Game Pass, and I actually do enjoy that one pretty well. So, yeah. So I mean, great pick at number five. That's pretty good. Um, for me, I know you probably won't know too much about this game. I'm pretty sure you've probably heard it throughout time, but for me, my number five is easily it's gonna make PlayStation fans happy. But I would like either I'm gonna say remake on this one. I want a remake of The Legend of Dragoon. Um, Super underrated RPG. It came out damn near towards the. It came out at a time where RPGs were kind of like there were so many of them. It came into a saturated market. If I remember correctly, it was more towards the end of the PS1 and kind of coming into the PS2 era now. But it had a battle system that you could easily change up. It had a rhythm, or I say rhythm, but it was more like a timing based battle system. So if you hit the X right at the right time, you can go ultimately and finish a combo. They could easily do that now with the same, but give you like more action RPG style, like a Kingdom Hearts, and then tap tap finish your combo. Um, but the story was really good. The transformations into the Dragoons was really cool. I always say that it's a mix between Final Fantasy and Power Rangers. Um, but it's definitely one that I would prefer a remake to because honestly, if you're gonna do a sequel, remake it first. But that's my number five, and Sony make it happen because you own that. So, yeah, that was my number five.
Yeah, that you're right. I don't really know what that game is. It's probably an older game from
It's a PS1 game.
or yeah, so I wouldn't know anything about it. But that does seem like an interesting game.
Yeah,
Uh,
if you get a chance, go watch some gameplay on it. I think you could be into it.
Definitely, I'll definitely check that out. Moving on to number four for me is one that was actually a day one release for Xbox Game Pass. Uh, Atomic Heart. I would like to actually see that one get a sequel.
You know what? I haven't played that yet, and I've been wanting to. Is it still on Game Pass?
I believe so. It should still be.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta check that out. I have. You talk about it if you want, because I have nothing on that one.
It kind of gives me like a mix of BioShock and Fallout vibes. Uh, BioShock with the weirdness of like the world being overtaken by robots, pretty much. It's set in Soviet Russia.
That's what I heard. I remember the commercials being Russian. Yeah.
Yeah, it's set during it's I think what it is supposed to be set during a time where the Cold War went in Russia's favor, and now America is under Russian control. And it's a really interesting take and a lot of interesting characters. And your job, pretty much what happens is it's a typical uh, robots turn on their masters. AI
Terminator.
takes over.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty much it's like a Terminator-esque world, and your goal is to figure out why it happened and stop it
Right.
from going out of control.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. I have it in my Game Pass wish list or play later or whatever, but I just haven't gotten to it. Yeah, that's cool. Let's see. Number four for me. Yeah, number four for me should have had a sequel a long time ago because there's been so many goddamn Mario Karts, and I'm not knocking Mario Kart. Mario Kart's great, but I want to see a sequel to Diddy Kong Racing. Diddy Kong Racing was, in my opinion, the best kart racing game on the Nintendo 64. Yeah, Mario Kart 64 had its place, but Diddy Kong Racing did it right. You had the karts, you had the hovercraft, you had the planes, And I think that was it. Was it plane, hovercraft, and yeah, plane, hovercraft, and cart. And it was just so freaking good of a game. It actually had a story that was actually kind of good. It had a bunch of secrets in there. And then each cup you did, or each little section you did, you had to go back and do it again in order to beat the boss twice, because there was boss per area. And the first time you go, and then I think the second time around everything was reversed. And then, oh no, it wasn't reversed. The second time around, you had to collect all the coins, these silver coins in each area, and it was a pain in the butt sometimes because you only got 3 laps, so you had to make sure you got at least most of them the first lap, and then the rest of them the second lap, so you could just cruise the third lap. And yeah, it was a real challenge, and I always remember being so frustrated at the last battle with, or the last race with Wizpig was his name, because it was just so infuriating because he's just so damn fast for being a big old pig. But yeah, Diddy Kong Racing, I'd love to see a sequel for that. That game was awesome, and I'm gonna know it's gonna be controversial, but better than Mario Kart 64.
Yeah, and oddly enough, that was actually I have that as an honorable mention on my list because there was a point at time where my dad actually got us a Nintendo 64 with a bunch of games, and that game was one of them.
Yeah, yeah,
So that was an honorable mention on my list.
nice. But yeah, that was my number 4. So go ahead and take over.
So right after Atomic Heart being my number 4, my number 3 is actually in the same uh esque as that game being a direct sequel I want to see is BioShock Infinite.
Mm.
Like I would like to see because the way they told BioShock Infinite story was that it was almost as if the previous BioShock games were just all a dream. Because the Big Daddy was nothing more than just a little like figurine in the opening scene of the game. So they could really play with the idea of taking BioShock Infinite's story and continuing it into a new level of BioShock come out in the future.
Who's the developer for BioShock? I know that
Uh,
I know that the main programmer was Ken Levine, but he's gone and doing his own thing now. What, buddy? Go watch Mario. Sorry, guys. Little one's out.
so it looks like it was made by Irrational Games.
Okay. And I'm not sure if that's the one that has it still or if it's moved on to someone else. Because are they? I wonder if they're still private or if Microsoft. I have a feeling. Why do I have a feeling Xbox owns it?
Maybe they do. I'm not really sure.
I don't know. Bioshock just seems like an Xbox game to me.
Yeah, it was developed by Irrational Games and published by 2K.
Okay, so yeah. Okay, so then 2K. All right. What is it? Take Two now?
I believe they're called Tech. I think they're called Tech 2 now.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so then yeah, so it's still possible. Um, the only thing with Bioshock is that yeah, I don't know if it'll ever be the same without Ken Levine. That guy is just such a beautiful mind. The way that he creates things. I do believe he's got another game coming out, or if it already came out. Let me see. Sorry for the dead silence, guys. I'm looking something up. Let's see. What's Ken Levine up to? Let's see. He is. Sorry, guys. I'm looking at my other screen. Oh, that's right. He did System Shock too. I need to play that. I always hear that series, and I think the new one they just did a remake or something of it. Let's see. I want to know where he works for right now. Oh, that's right. He's working on a new game called Judas, and I heard that I heard it's really looking good. But yeah, Bioshock, another Bioshock game would be good. Now again, I'm guilty of not playing. I've seen gameplays. Sorry guys, I keep moving my mouse. I've seen gameplays of Bioshock, but I've never actually played it, and I really want to. I need to go back and do that. But yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Um, so let's see, we're at number 3. My number 3 is let me see. My list died on me. Oh no, what happened to my list? Um, hang on, guys. Sorry about the dead silence again. My list died on me, guys. So, um, let's see. I had take over for me real quick, Z.
All right, I guess I'll say another honorable mention on my list while we wait for you to get your list back. So this one is actually an Xbox 360 arcade game that I remembered playing. It's most people probably won't know it, but if you do, congratulations. Uh, it's called Cloning Clyde. It's a
Ah,
weird little Xbox arcade game,
I
but it
th-
had a good story to it.
I think I remember that. Man, shout out to Xbox Arcade. What a miss. I can't.
It
I.
really was.
It's still sad to think that Xbox got rid of that. Um, yeah, yeah. So talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah, so Cloning Clyde, you pretty much wake up in a cloning facility. You're a patient there, and your job is to pretty much go through the levels and escape. Like I said, very interesting kind of game. I would like to see it remade into a more HD era kind of game.
There's a bunch of those Xbox Arcade games that I wish that they would kind of like bring back but modernized. Yeah. As I got my list back. My number was it 3? My number 3 is I want a sequel to Bloodborne. Because Bloodborne was okay. So Bloodborne was my first. They call them Souls game. I did play Elden Ring. And I put a lot of hours into Elden Ring, and I really dug it. But that game was just too freaking hard. Got pretty far in it, but for me, I feel like Bloodborne did it the best. Um, Bloodborne was just such an awesome game because it's like you had your main weapon, then you had your shotgun to stun them. That was really dark, really gross. Like it was like you felt gross walking around that game. Everything seemed like it was wet and slimy. Probably smelled like ass. Um, the bosses in it, they were very hard, but they were forgiving. Like if you once you learned the pattern of a certain boss, you were golden. Because it's not like Elden Ring where those bosses will surprise you. Like you think, oh, I got this guy now, and then he takes you out like that. You're done. But for me, Bloodborne, the story, which you had to get through little text pieces and stuff like that, because it really didn't give it to you up front. But all the lore was interesting. The hunter was interesting, and it was just a really good game. Dark, like the very first boss was just like I was stuck there for like a day and a half. Um, but it was just a really good game. I think honestly, in my opinion, probably the best, the perfect Souls game. I think it did it the best. So yeah, shout out to all my Bloodborne fans because I would love to see a direct sequel to that. And come on, PlayStation, put it on PS5. What are we doing? Like that game needs to be on PS5. Give it the upgrade, give it the 4K 60 or whatever you need to do to it. Give us Bloodborne 2, or give us Bloodborne. Uh, so there is my number 3.
All right, and you said it took you about a day and a half to get through that first boss. If I recall correctly, I tried playing that game back when I had my 360, and I believe I'm still on the first boss. I just gave up after the fifth try.
Yeah.
So moving on to number 2. My number 2 is actually one I would like to see get remade into a modern era. It's a game from my childhood on the GameCube. Uh, Nicktoons Unite.
Why does that sound familiar? Is that the one that was like it was like an MMORPG, but it had like all the characters from the Nickelodeon cartoons in there?
You would be correct on that.
Oh,
You got to
dude.
play as the three main characters: Danny Phantom, SpongeBob, or Jimmy Neutron.
That game was legit. Like, if anybody has a bad thing to say about that game, suck it, because that game was actually pretty good. SpongeBob all the way.
Yeah, I would have said I would want a sequel to it, but when I looked it back up, it did have a few sequels already, so I was like, might as well just have it remade into the modern era.
Yeah, remake the
Because I haven't
original.
seen it. I haven't seen the original come out for any other console since its initial release for the what I had it on, which was the GameCube.
You know that game actually fetches a pretty penny right now too.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's last I checked, I think it's almost $100 game. I have a few.
Because
I have a grip of a small handful of GameCube games here that are worth quite a bit.
I'll take that game for you, and I swear I won't sell it.
I don't have that one. I actually do want it, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go. I have FYI, I have a retro video coming up, guys. I'm gonna do some retro grabs for this month because I haven't done any. So yeah, we'll get to that. I may have an extra GameCube that I might be if you want it. I have to look for it, but yeah, I have one in the box in my cabinet. I think you can see it on the. Oh, there it is, in my picture right there. And then I have a silver one that's loose somewhere, and it works, and I cleaned it out and all that. So, if you're
Yeah,
interested,
that was mine. Mine was the silver one.
um, yeah, no, great pick, dude. I love that game. That game was awesome.
No, I wonder if the silver one that you have is the one that me and my brother had growing up, because you did live with us for a while when we were younger,
uh,
around the time we had it.
no, this one I picked up. No, this no. So the one I have is my original one. I had it at my mom's house in the attic, and I recently just found it because we were doing some cleanup over there, and yeah, I grabbed it and brought it home. Um, so my number two is and the only reason is because people don't like it, but I think if it was remade, it would fit more into the time of today because it actually is one of the best games in its series, and that game is Final Fantasy VIII. Um, Not as hated as 13, and 13. I'm gonna say I used to hate 13. I now understand why people like 13. Not, but the reason I say that is because Final Fantasy VIII is the one that the fans love to hate. It came out at a time where being moody and emo wasn't really cool because to me the main character is moody and kind of emo. Um, and if anybody doesn't know, the Final Fantasy VIII revolves around the main character Squall, and he had a really his whole thing is he was hurt as a child. He had a very shitty childhood. He was an orphan, um, and he just resents the world for reasons he doesn't fully understand. He eventually opens up and becomes kind of loving and caring and a typical Final Fantasy character, but the game doesn't deserve the hate that the fans gave it. It had such an incredible storyline. The main character and his team was all awesome. It gave a reason to why they don't. So in the game, they have these things. I'm sure you pretty much know the basics of Final Fantasy, right? So
Yeah,
you know the summons and all that.
yeah,
So it gives them this story of they have basically amnesia and they can't remember certain things about their past because they use the summons, and in the game they're called guardian forces. Well, there's something called guardian force. I call it guardian force syndrome. They don't. But the more you have interactions with the guardian forces, the more they take away from your memory. It's kind of like it's the drawback of having power, kind of like medicine, where it's good for you, but you might have this long list of side effects, you know? So they don't remember each other, and then eventually they come to realize, oh crap, we do know, blah, blah, and the story unfolds, and the main character finds love, and but I think if they remade that game in the style of Final Fantasy VII Remake and made it modern for today, I think that game gets a second win and becomes one of the fan favorites because Squall isn't a bad character. He's really good. The only character I would say they need to rewrite and rework is Cypher because I always say that the main character and the rival character had the Goku and Vegeta effect of where the rival is always trying to be better than the main character and he gets you know what I mean it but definitely deserves a Final Fantasy 8 deserves the 7 treatment of getting a remake because I think that would open up people's eyes to seeing how truly great that game was. And a lot of people don't know that the main character is technically related to another character that comes further into the game, and I still can't believe people haven't figured that out. But I digress. So yeah, that's my number two. Square Enix and PlayStation work together and get that remake done because the rumor is they're doing 9, and 9 was my least favorite. So I don't. People love 9. I don't. But yeah, Final Fantasy 8 would be my number two, as in a remake slash sequel.
Yeah, that I would like to see that too. And like, I probably wouldn't play it, but I'd probably watch gameplay of it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's just it. Those games are all like those kind of games like are perfect for sitting down and and watching them because you're like it's like watching a movie, you know?
Yeah. So moving on, this is my last pick on this list. Is one that I would like to see either get a remake or get a direct sequel, and it is Dragon Ball Infinite World.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh man, I can't tell you how many. I've played probably every Dragon Ball game that's ever came out. So yeah, and then having the Steam Deck, this was awesome. I got to tell you about this real quick before you go on. So on my Steam Deck, obviously I told you I have that emulation hard drive and all that. Well,
Yeah.
I was browsing on it the other day because I still haven't even come. I'll never come close to playing all the games that are on that bad boy. So I'm browsing through and I was thinking to myself, oh, they got the Budokai series. Let me see what else they got Dragon Ball. So I go into the search menu and I type Dragon Ball. There was a game in there that was released in Japan only in the arcade called Dragon Ball VR. And let me tell you, I had the freaking greatest time playing that game. I was like, how has this game never come out to console? This game would be perfect. It's literally the best freaking game I've ever played Dragon Ball wise, besides Legends. Um, and not the cell phone Legends. Yeah. Um, but yeah, you would like it. I got to show it to you because it was awesome. So it's basically you facing a character that you're fighting. You're the character. You can still see your character, and you're fighting back and forth. It's anime style, and it was crazy. It's so fast and fun. I was just like, wow, I gotta. If you get a chance, check out some gameplay on it. It's called Dragon Ball VR. It's awesome. It was an
Yeah,
arc. It was an arcade game.
I'll definitely see if I can find some gameplay of that. Moving back to Infinite World, yeah, like I said, I'd be happy with a remake or a sequel to this game because I remember playing it on the PlayStation 2 when it came out, and it's what got me, at that time when it came out, I didn't really know what anime was. I didn't really get into anime, especially stuff like Dragon Ball, up until Kai started coming out on Nicktoons,
Mm-hmm.
towards its end of its cycle originally. But that technically that game alone was my introduction to Dragon Ball as a whole. I just really didn't have any concept of anime at the time.
Right. Yeah, it's funny too that you bring up Dragon Ball because I've been watching or rewatching Dragon Ball Z Kai on Hulu, and man, I gotta tell you, I forgot how fucking great that show was. It's like, man, I'm kind of ashamed I haven't been watching more. I just finished Dragon Ball and then I jumped onto Kai. Now I'm gonna hit Super and then the unfortunate GT. I'm gonna skip the first two seasons and get into the good stuff. But yeah, Dragon Ball Infinite World, I remember just being really great. The roster of characters was just freaking insane. Um, and then it had the pretty good storyline too, if I remember right.
Yeah, it had a bunch of what if scenarios
Yeah,
too.
I like the my favorite one was the Bardock one.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was my favorite.
that's what I remember too.
Yeah, with the and I think they adapted it later in a short anime too, where he goes Super Saiyan and all that. Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and before we get out for this topic, speaking of GT, uh, this is a theory I actually had. So, for those of people that have actually watched GT, something
Uh,
I noticed is with Gohan in that series, his when he's in his ultimate form in the main series, his eye lining is always complete. It's not broken like he is when he's not training. But in GT, it's always like that,
mm-hmm,
which makes me think that GT is not doesn't take place after the original ending of Z. And my theory for that is that it's an alternate future timeline where the original crew, including Goku later on, in that future timeline where he died of the heart virus, they all got revived using the Black Star Dragon Balls, which is why they exist in the first place.
mm-hmm,
And that's why that Gohan, his he's always in a form like that. His because he's all he knew was how to fight and survive. So he was always keeping up with his
mm-hmm.
training.
I think you're partially on the ball. I think so. I think it was a while ago, many years ago now. I think Toriyama finally came out and said that Dragon Ball GT does take place in an alternate universe. That it's not in the canon line, which you would call canon. And most Dragon Ball hardcore fans won't even say the word canon because that just means so much to so much. But GT does. I think they finally said that GT takes place in an alternate universe. It's kind of whatever. But I really could see Toriyama and Toyotaro finally being like, let's just do Super Saiyan 4 in the main series. But I just don't see where it would work because they're like beyond that now. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a possible way to get it to work where you can have enemy come in to where their god powers just aren't on par with the enemy, and they have to go back to their primal roots of being a Saiyan by taking a look at Broly having that wrathful form. That's like a subtle. I would say like
I
something like that. If they were to do that, would be that's how it got
I
started.
think that's what
Like
they kind of hinted
wrath.
at. I think that's what they kind of hinted at Broly too when they were saying that. I think it was Vegeta or maybe Goku. I don't remember. It was one of the two had mentioned something about him being in
It was
his
Paragus.
yeah, like he's in his grade ape form, but he's in his normal body. Like he's got the grade ape power inside the, or I think it what's it grade ape or Ozaru form. Um,
Yeah, his
yeah,
father pretty much said that he's harnessing the power of the Zaru
yeah,
in his base form, and that's pretty much all Super Saiyan 4 is. It's just a
control over
Super Saiyan
Ozaru.
version of that.
I think if they were to bring Super, I know we're off topic, but that's okay. I know that if they were ever able to give a new Super Saiyan form to a character, it should be Broly. Like,
Broly
cause
should definitely be the one to get something like Super Saiyan 4 instead of a God form.
yeah, cause the other guys are all beyond that. I mean, Gohan's even Toyotaro and Toriyama have said Gohan's the strongest right now. So Gohan Beast is just unshot. He's stronger than they said he's stronger than Goku and Vegeta at the moment, but I doubt Frieza's new form. So, but yeah, I think
Well, Frieza's new form did take out both Ultra Ego Vegeta and Ultra Instinct
yeah,
Goku in
mastered
one punch.
mastered Ultra Instinct.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, yeah, Infinite World, man. That was a good game. What's your excitement level for Tenkaichi 4?
Oh, through the roof. The moment they announce pre-orders, if I have the funds,
Oh yeah,
I am
I'm
definitely pre-ordering
I'm
it.
going after whatever ridiculous price collector's edition they have. So I've got the Kakarot one sitting up there. um,
Yeah, and then I got the Fighter Z one right there.
yeah, that's the one I gave you. That statue's awesome. You
I keep it in a box. I had to have him come out.
you know what you should do? You should put one of those tea lights, the candle ones, the yellow ones, and put it like right in front of him because the light would reflect up and look like he's changing.
I really should. I gotta find some of those.
I think I have some. If I find them,
If you
I'll,
have any extra,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, because
send
I'm
them my
not,
way.
yeah, because I'm not using them. Because that's what I did for one statue that I had that unfortunately broke. Okay, well, yeah, Infinite World, awesome. I actually need to find that. What are we at? One now?
Yeah.
All right, so one for me is controversial because I did have a different number one, but I went with this number one just because I'm sure you've seen it, but I streamed this game not too long ago over I think it was like 2 days or a week or whatever, and it's a PlayStation IP developed by Ready at Dawn. They left it hanging in a weird spot. The freaking storyline. Okay. I'm just gonna come and say it. My number one is the PS4 exclusive, The Order 1886. Uh,
Ah,
the Order 1886 is one of the most criminally underrated PS4 games that ever came out, and I'll tell you why. The game, even now on my PS5 when I was streaming it, looks beautiful. It is one of the most beautiful PS4 games that I ever have ever laid my eyes on, and that's including God of War, Horizon, all those, The Last of Us, whatever. I don't know if they did a performance patch on it, but when I was playing it on my PS5, it just looked beautiful. I couldn't get over how great this game looked. Um, the storyline, phenomenal. They put so many historical events into the game and kind of just throw them all at you at once from I can't even explain. They just did it perfectly. The only downside to the game is it's very cinematic heavy, which is fine with me because it's like playing and watching a movie. And Sony, the Order 1886 is perfect for a movie. Make it because it would kill. It do it in the style that you did with Uncharted. It would kill. It would be a phenomenal movie. Um, but the storyline is awesome from the historical events that they tie in together. And I'm gonna get spoiler heavy, so if you haven't played the Order 1886, you had a whole generation to do so. But don't let my spoilers throw you off. If you don't want to listen to the spoilers, skip ahead about 10 minutes, and you'll be fine, I think. But we're gonna get right into it. So the Order 1886 takes place obviously in the year 1886. It has it's about essentially it's about the Knights of the Round Table. These guys are the royal knights. They answer basically to no one, not the queen, not whatever. They got their own council. They do their thing as guided by the council. Their sole purpose is to eliminate half breeds, which are werewolves. Um, the werewolves are it. There's a rebellion going on, and people fighting against whatever your typical rise above power thing. Well, come to find out that the rebellion is really the half breeds, the Lycans, the werewolves, and they have to go and stop these guys because they're just causing a ruckus. At the same time, there's murders going on in Whitechapel, and if anybody knows their history, the murders that were going on at the time in Whitechapel were Jack the Ripper. More on that in a minute. And then it also is a more advanced 1886. So in 1886, they didn't have Zeppelins. They had, oh shoot, my light died. They didn't have, um, hold on one second, guys. Let me see if I can turn my light. Nope, it is dead. Okay. All right, we'll deal with it. They didn't have, aircraft technology and all that. They didn't have, the stuff that they had. These guys have machine guns. They've got fire, like rifles that they shouldn't have. They also have Bluetooth technology where they're able to communicate walkie-talkie style, which obviously didn't last, didn't exist at that time. And then they go and they're pursuing. There's something going on, something fishy. They find out that there's a rat in the order or something like that, and they're slowly trying to figure out who it is. And they find out that eventually it's someone in their ranks. The story unfolds, and they find out that the half breeds or the werewolves are trying to get to America, the new colonies of America, and trying to figure out to get to a new place because it's getting kind of scary for them over here. Come to find out now, there's also vampires that are trying to make their way to the Americas, and they need to stop that before it happens because then they're going to have a whole other mess on their hands. Basically they're going to have a whole country to feed on that they have no control over. Um, and then come to find out now, one of the political people in actual history is Jack the Ripper, and he's been doing his thing, and he's a vampire, and the story was incredible. Too short, criminally short. You could probably finish the game in 4 to 6 hours, depending on how you do it. I did it in 6 to 7 because I did a lot of collecting. Um, but it's just so damn good. The last part of the game, the very finale, is like it makes you so sad because you're seeing. Well, I don't want to. I won't get too spoiler heavy on it, I guess. But it's a tearjerker at the end if you're have a sensitive heart and all that. But the story is just incredible, and then it is very quick time heavy, so you're kind of pushing buttons to fight and do this and that. But um, if you guys haven't seen the gameplay for it, I recommend to go watch my gameplay because it was really really great 2 video series that I did. Um, but yeah, number one, 1886. Sony, I'm begging you, please give us a sequel. Or give us a complete version because the game definitely ended on a super cliffhanger, and the game didn't feel like it was finished telling its story. And I think kind of that's what did it in. So Sony, if you ever listen to this, and if you're hearing, please make a sequel. Give us the sequel to the Order 1886 because we deserve it, and there's plenty of fans out there that want it because I've talked to a lot of them. So yeah, that's my number one.
All right, and just before we head off for the night, I know we said this last week about starting a wrestling podcast. However, I think at this current point in time, our best interest would be to wait until the start of the new year to get a fresh start on the entirety of the upcoming wrestling year. Because
Yeah,
that's usually around the time when the road to WrestleMania starts, and that's a big refresh for the whole WWE scene. And looking it up on my calendar, actually, we can actually do start the podcast that first week of the 2024 year because the first is on a Monday.
that
So
w-
we will easily be able to cover Monday Night Raw.
that works for me too because I'm also still trying to get my schedule figured out, guys. And we did take a week off, and that was my bad because I had some real life stuff come up, and yeah, so it's been tough. I work a full time job. I've got 4 children. They're in school, so it's kind of like being dad time and then doing this, which I love doing. So I'm still trying to figure it out. So yeah, we took a week off. My bad. So and anyways, it'll all work out. So yeah, that sounds good. So all right, we're gonna head out. So let me say one more time, if you guys made it to the end, be on the lookout for the announcement. We are on the quest for 1,000 subs. I no longer want to play the short game. I want to get the big ball rolling. So yeah, we're going to do our hunt for 1,000, and like I said, we're going to do the biggest giveaway we've ever done so far. And then Mark, if you made it this far, I need your info so we can get that PS2 sent out to you. And if you don't want it, then let me know, and then we'll pick another winner in your honor. So yeah, so that's it for me, guys. I'm sorry, my light died. I gotta charge it. So that's it. So thanks for listening to this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one. We're gonna get more regular. I'm still getting this schedule figured out. Hope you guys enjoyed our list. Real quick before we go, I just want to let you all know that my honorable mention, the one that should have been number one, and I'm still glad that I picked the order, but my number one was Chrono Trigger. It not only deserves a remake, but it deserves a true sequel because Chrono Cross was a great game, but Chrono Cross did not do Chrono Trigger any justice. Um, but if there's ever another game that deserves a remake from Square Enix, it's definitely Final Fantasy VIII. but the one that deserves the most of a remake is Chrono Trigger. Uh, Quite possibly the greatest game of all time, and it's sad that it's still just sitting in its PS1, DS, and Super Nintendo coffin. So, yeah. All right, so you guys know who I am. I'm obviously the Fat Man at the Fat Man Gaming. If you guys want, you guys can find me on here at the Fat Man Gaming. I'm on. Well, just find me here. I'm working on getting us a channel set up or stuff, social media stuff set up so that we can do it all at once. And then obviously to my side over here is Zio. Zio, any last words?
Once again, deepest condolences to both the Funk family and Rotunda family.
Yeah, rest in peace, guys. Definitely, Terry Funk gave me some of the greatest matches I ever seen in time. And shout out to Bray Wyatt and the Rotunda family because Bray Wyatt's The Fiend was probably one of the best gimmicks I had seen since Kane and the voice box and all that stuff. Bray Wyatt played or Rotunda played The Fiend remarkably. Those what was that called? The Funhouse?
Firefly Fun.
Yeah, the Firefly Funhouse was some of the dumbest but funniest stuff I had ever seen. And then when he brought in what was her name? Because she was awesome too.
Alexa Bliss.
Alexa Bliss, yeah. When he had Alexa Bliss playing, was she actually the sister? Was who she was supposed to be?
I think that's what they're gonna reveal with his actual with the current one he was supposed to do, the current storyline he was gonna make for himself. With the whole Wyatt Six family, it was gonna be revealed that all the little Firefly Funhouse puppets that he had that got made into real life people were gonna be people from his past playing the characters.
Right. And it sucks too because didn't another one of them died? Luke, I think was it Luke Harper passed away too, huh?
Brody Lee, yeah.
Yeah, Brody Lee, man. Yeah, that was sad too. It's like, man, these people don't give the wrestlers the respect that they deserve. I mean, you take, I know we're dragging this outro out, but they I was listening to Hulk Hogan on the Joe Rogan podcast this last week, and it's like, man, the stories that he told about how beat up his body is, it's like people don't give these guys enough credit. You know that ultimately at the end of the day, their matches are predetermined, but that doesn't mean that what they're doing in there is fake because these guys take a lot of damage, and they get hurt real bad a lot of times. I mean, look at Biggie; he broke his neck, and he's still out.
He's not coming back, actually.
Oh, he's done? He's retired?
He has to. The doctors won't clear him.
Damn, that's sad. See, guys, you got to give these guys more respect because they definitely deserve it. Just a snap of a finger that could be done. Unfortunately, you got the tragedy of back in the early days of Owen Hart coming down doing his gimmick and then falls. I remember watching that pay-per-view. I seen it as it happened. It was a long, long time ago. And you could hear the crowd, and he was like, "Oh man, what's happening?" And then seeing the JR cut away and saying that something bad had happened, then coming back later and saying that he had died. Yeah, that was a real shocker. So shout out to professional wrestlers everywhere because they do give us a hell of a ride for the damage that they take.
Yeah, like another two wrestlers, Eddie Guerrero and the black sheep of the wrestling world, Chris Benoit.
Yeah, CTE is also a thing, for them, and a lot of people give Chris Benoit, the hate, and it's understandable. Like what he did is unforgivable, but I don't want to get into it because it's a really dark tunnel that you can go down, because people still love him, and a lot of people hate that people still love him, and then Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero was, I don't know if he had a heart problem or if it was just on account of the steroids because he clearly was juicing, unfortunately, because he came as he was a skinny little guy and then came back and he was just a monster. So, and even Hulk Hogan on Joe Rogan's podcast was saying that, yeah, it was in the time of juice. So, But
Yeah.
yeah, so condolences to the two losses, and yeah, we'll catch you guys on the next one. So yeah, Z, say goodbye to the people and let's get out of here.
See you guys next time.
All right, we'll see you on the next one, guys. Peace out.